Namaste. I've been doing this long enough to know that the things that I hesitate the most to speak out are usually the most important ones. So, here goes. In all Abrahamic religions, we say that we are made in the image of God. And when we hold that image in prayer, it's usually the most attractive features of that specific human collective. For Christians, white Jesus, blue eyes, blonde hair, this kind face, long flowing robe. And same thing happens to a lot of other religions too. We want our gods to look like a hero in a Hollywood production. The best version of our own imagination of human beauty. A God that makes us look good to the rest of the world. A God that's pleasing to our eyes. But you see, in Dharmic religions, it's a little different. More honest, more specific, especially in the Hindu tradition. And it's a little intimidating for most people. But none as intimidating, none as fierce as Ma Kali, or what we call her, Kali Ma. Stick with me, I'm going to show you the deep meaning of this entity, this goddess. And by the time we are done here, you're never going to look at Kali Ma the same way again. So, let's actually look at this image everyone's so afraid of. Her tongue out, skulls around her neck, a sword dripping in blood, and it looks a little scary. And in your mind, you might be already saying it. This isn't what a god or a goddess is supposed to look like. So, where did that idea even come from? Who told you what a god is supposed to look like? If you're honest with yourself, you know very well that you were never made in God's image. Well, not specifically you. You are a piece of God. And if you were made in His or her image, specifically a human image, then so was the insect. If you were made on his or her image, so was the vulture on the side of the road. If you were made in his or her image, so was the virus. If you were made in his or her image, she was the storm, the tornado, the hurricane that wipes out a town in one night. Every creature that can see and visualize, by that same logic, have been made in God's image too. Which means either none of us were made in the image of God, or all of it was. The beautiful and the brutal, all of them, both. I came across a spiritual teacher explaining this in a different way, and it actually opened something up for me. He said, across Indian tradition, certain yogis and mystics built specific form of the divine for specific purpose, on purpose. Some of them looked beautiful, some of them looked pleasant, some of them looked fierce, some of them looked vibrant. It's like creating tools, each one built for a different dimension of your life. And it's like this. Think about education today. There's general education, and then there's specialized education. Same thing happened with these forms. Different energy, built for different work, built for different people at different stages in their life. And Ma Kali is specialized for one thing: to destroy your ego. And so, she's the fierce one. To some people and their mental constitution, she's one of the most approachable forms there is for some. And at the same time, for others, one of the fiercest, scariest. Invite someone into your space that fierce, and without knowing how to hold that energy, then she might just eat you up. The yogis who built this form were not regular people themselves. They didn't want a tame goddess. They wanted something wild enough to match what they were actually going through. Ma Kali, she isn't just an idea you believe in. She can become a living reality. She can walk in front of you. Because once an energy exists, if you want it to, you can build a whole relationship with it. And this is not a metaphor. That's lived experience. So, who is Kali Ma? Ma Kali? Where does she come from? The old Vedic texts, Devi Mahatmyam, and the story goes like this. There's a war going on against demons, a fierce war. No one else could handle them. The warrior goddess Durga is in the middle of that battle. And her fury and rage gets so complete, so total, that Kali burst straight out of her own third eye. The fury of Durga released. It's so fierce, an independent force of pure rage that Durga herself couldn't hold anymore. And there's a demon in that battle named Rakta Bija, and he has a special power that should have made him unstoppable. Every drop of his blood that touches the ground turns into another version of him. If you cut him, and every drop of blood becomes another Rakta Bija, and you've just multiplied your problem. And Kali is the one who solves that. She cuts Rakta Bija's head off and drinks his blood before a single drop hits the earth. She doesn't fight him in a different way, and she stops the whole mechanism right there. And then there's a story almost everyone has heard about in some form. Kalima, drunk on the blood in that battle, her victory dance starts threatening to destroy the universe itself. Her husband Shiva lays down directly on her path, the only thing that can actually stop her. And so Kali accidentally steps on Shiva. And when she realizes what she's just stepped on, she bites her tongue. Shock, shame, and the whole rampage stops in that one instance. That tongue you've seen in every image of her, that's the moment right there. Let's actually go through what you're looking at, piece by piece, because every part of this image means something. Her skin, dark, sometimes black, sometimes blue, depending on who is depicting her. That's not evil. In fact, that's the void everything came out of before creation. That's the void everything returns to once it's done. You have to be that color to hold all of that. The garland around her neck, 49 severed heads, skulls, one for every letter of the Sanskrit alphabet. Every word you've ever spoken, every thought you've ever had comes from those 49 sounds. So that garland is not a victory trophy. It's a language and expression hanging around the neck of the one who created it and can take it back anytime she wants. And her skirt made of severed arms. That's your karma. Every action you've ever taken is cut loose, hanging there, instead of chaining you down life after life. She has 4 hands, top left holding a blood-soaked sword, cutting straight through ignorance. Bottom left holding a severed head is your own ego, already taken care of by Ma. And then the 2 right hands. One is in Abhaya Mudra, mudra of fearlessness. And the other is Varada Mudra, the mudra of blessings. She blesses in the middle of all that carnage. You see, two of her four hands are doing nothing but offering safety and a gift to you. Her hair, wild, disheveled, that's freedom from every social rule you've ever been taught to follow. That's Prakriti, raw nature, exactly as it is. Two of her four hands are mid-battle, and the other two hands blessing you and protecting you. She's mid-slaughter, and she's still holding a hand out to you. I think that's the whole teaching. I want to tell you a personal story that I don't talk much about. I was 8, maybe 9 years old, growing up in Kerala, India. My family is Orthodox Christians. And like every Keralite Christian household, we had the photo of Jesus and the Last Supper, front and center, right there in the living room. And anything outside of Christian images, any other face, any other symbol, wasn't allowed. It was looked at as evil, as the devil himself. This was the world I grew up in. But you see, every family, there were family secrets, and in our family too. Nothing bad, just human. You see, at that time, my family was going through a rough patch. Real trouble with finances and my dad's business. And one day, a neighbor told my dad about an occult practitioner, a yogi of some level, living up in the mountains, in some small village. This neighbor friend of my dad, who was also from the same Christian tradition as us, he said that this occultist can help us. They said this man had a special power. He could invite Kali Ma into his body. So one night, after midnight, of course, we drove up into the mountains to go find him. His place was lit by kerosene lamps. Red turmeric and yantra drawn on the ground in front of his small hut. I was terrified. Me and my sisters, just kids, standing there in the dark, not understanding any of it. There were a handful of his followers standing around the hut, possibly Christians like us looking to end their bad times. And around 1:30 in the morning, this yogi went into a trance, invoking Kali Ma into his body. In Kerala, we have a word for this. when someone gets possessed by a deity like that, we call it Velichapadu. That means revealer of light. And when that happened, he changed his demeanor completely. The strength that he showed, that wasn't clearly his strength. He would lift grown men off the ground with one hand around their neck, around their throat. And somehow, in that same action, motion, pull addictions and bad karmas right out of them. His tongue out, hair wild and loose, eyes bulging, fierce in a way I'd never seen a human being that fierce. And then, when things calms down in an hour or two, he'd just sit down on the floor and people would come up to him one at a time and he'd hold them. He'd put their heads on his lap and they would melt into him, crying, feeling safe, like they'd just been given something back that they lost. We never talked about that night in our home again. We couldn't. In our family, Christianity was the only door we were allowed to knock for healing. But what I saw as a kid up in those mountains never left me. It sat in the back of my mind for years. And when I got older, I finally let myself get curious about this. That's part of why I'm talking about Ma Kali right now. Because that's really what this whole video is about. A mother who only ever shows up calm cannot be trusted with your real wounds. Sometimes love has to come in and rip out the thing that's actually killing you. And that's never gonna look peaceful while it's happening. There's a man who understood this better than almost anyone we have on record. His name was Ramakrishna. He didn't write theories about Kali. He wept for her, like a kid missing his own mother in the middle of the night. He said the whole world is Kali Ma. Even a cat walking past him on the street was Kali Ma. He said it was fully Kali Ma, her. He went to her the way a little kid goes to their mother. There's a story about him standing in front of her statue, laughing, making faces at her, like a small boy would with his own mother. Even when other spiritual teachers tried pulling him toward some abstract, formless idea of God, he couldn't let her go. His devotion was so complete that letting her dissolve felt like losing his own mother. He couldn't imagine his life without her. That's Paramahamsa Ramakrishna, one of the most revered guru in the 19th century India. He was the guru of Swami Vivekananda, the founder of the Vedanta Society around the world. So Kali Ma, she's actually the easiest one for us to invoke. But not because she's simple, because she doesn't need you to be pure. Other gods and forms of divine ask you for your purity before they allow you close to them. But Kali doesn't do that. She meets you exactly where you're at. In the middle of a crisis that you're in the middle of a rage or anger you're in, even if you are doubtful. You don't need to have a life of purity. You just need the longing for her, Kali Ma. What you bring to her is how she responds. If you invoke her with love, she meets you intimate and she's tender. If you invoke her with fear, then the fear side is what you're going to get back. She hands you back exactly what you handed her. If you invoke her with suspicion and doubt, she never responds. So, how do you invoke her? There are mantras you can use, and each one does something a little different. The shortest mantra for Ma Kali is Om Krim Kalikaya Namaha. Om Krim Kalikaya Namaha. Krim is her seed sound. Pure transformation, pure power, packed into one syllable. The whole mantra means, I bow to the Divine Mother who transforms my consciousness. This is the mantra you use when your mind's cluttered and you need her presence fast. There's a longer mantra too, and it's built for deep protection and real inner strength. Om Krim Krim Hum Hum Krim Krim Dakshina Kalikaya Krim Krim Hum Hum Krim Krim Swaha. Hum is fierce energy cutting the ego down. Krim is the sound of our heart itself, our own lineage, our own purification. And Swaha at the end means you're offering it all completely into the fire. This whole line is basically saying, burn away what doesn't serve me, purify what's left, and set the rest of me free. There's a Gayatri version of Kali Mantra too, for clarity and for lifting confusion out of your mind. Om Kalikaya Vidmehe Shmasana Vasyana Dhimahi Tanno Gora Prachodayat, which means we meditate on the one who lives in the cremation ground, the one who's already burned away every worldly attachment. And we ask that fierce presence to light up our own understanding. And there's a short one for straight up for fear. Om Jayanti Mangala Kali Bhadragali Kapalini. Victorious, auspicious, the one who carries his call, meaning the one who has already destroyed illusion. You say this one when you actually need her to show up and stand between you and whatever is in front of you. None of these are magic words you say once and you forget it. They are vibrations repeated until the sound starts doing something to you. And what does she actually give you back? Once you're actually in a real relationship with her, she doesn't give you what you ask for. She gives you what is actually needed. People come to her asking for protection, and they get honesty instead. They ask for power, and they get humility instead. In short, she gives you back to yourself. There's a real serious discipline built around going deeper with this. It's called Kali Sadhana. And I want to be straight with you about what it actually is, instead of turning it into some kind of 5-minute trick. It means repeating her mantra thousands of times over a sustained period of time. It means specific timing, usually the hours before dawn, usually nights on a new moon day. Now, this isn't a weekend project. This is a serious tradition built for people who are actually ready to have their false self taken apart. If you feel pulled towards her, then start simple. Her name, her mantra, just presence with her image. Let it build like a real relationship would build. Slow, honest, with her and with yourself. So here's what I want to leave you with. Go back and look at that image of Kali Ma. The tongue, the skulls, the sword. Now, look at the two hands doing nothing but blessing you. She's what a loving mother looks like when there's calamity in your life. If somewhere in your life right now, there's probably something that isn't going to get healed by gentleness. If something that needs to be looked at, dealt with head on. I'm not going to tell you what that is for you, because you already know. Jai Kalima, Bijam Sthapitam, a seed has been planted in you. Namaste.